Hello everyone, it's your host, your friend, your boy, Jet Black, the one and only, here with another exciting video. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about how was my day today on July 14th, 2020, and what are my plans for tomorrow on July 15th, 2020. If you guys want to skip to the topics that you're most interested in hearing about, feel free to jump into the description box below and interact with our table of contents. We have each segment of today's episode time-stamped in the table of contents, so if you want to just watch particular parts of the episode, feel free to jump to the timestamps that look the most interesting within the table of contents. But if you just want to sit back, relax, and watch the video in its entirety, then you can definitely do that too. Also, if you guys want to ask me any questions or just, talk, hang out, feel free to leave comments in the comment section below and to message me on our Discord link available in the description. Also, if you're interested in looking into any of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about in today's video, there should be links for all of the stuff that I'm talking about in the description box below. So if you want to do your own research on any of this stuff, you can. But without further ado, let's move on from the intro and start talking about Dark Knight's Death Metal issue number 2. So right now, DC Comics is doing a big event called Dark Knight's Death Metal. It's the sequel to Dark Knight's Metal. And a lot of stuff has happened between Dark Knight's Metal and Dark Knight's Death Metal. Like, this isn't an event that you're meant to read by just reading Metal and then jumping into this. Like, between Dark Knight's Metal and Dark Knight's Death Metal, we've had, like... I'm trying to see if I can remember everything that happened. We had Justice League No Justice, which happened like immediately after Dark Knight's Metal. And then after Justice League No Justice, we had like the most recent Justice League run before the current Justice League run. Then we had Hell's Arisen, which was like another event. And we had the Flash Forward book. And I think those are the main things that happened between Dark Knight's Metal and Dark Knight's Death Metal. So I think it's kind of weird that it's like a sequel to Metal, because in reality it's like more of a sequel to like this ongoing story that's happened since Metal. Like it's weird because they're practically saying like it's Metal 2, but it's not really Metal 2, because Metal 2 would be like No Justice. Like the timeline of comic book events since Metal is kind of vast. So if you only read Dark Knight's Metal and then you try to jump into Dark Knight's Death Metal, you probably aren't going to understand everything that's going on, because there's so much has happened. Also, Doomsday Clock. Doomsday Clock is another event that ties into Dark Knight's Death Metal. Like, Death Metal is this huge event that's the culmination of all these things that have happened since Dark Knight's Metal. So, I mean, you could say it's the sequel to Dark Knight's Metal, but considering all the stuff that's in between the two, like chronologically, I just don't think it really makes sense to say it's the sequel. It just makes sense to say they're a part of the same story. But if anything, Dark Knight's Metal was the beginning, and Dark Knight's Death Metal is like the end. So it's weird to say it's like a sequel. It's more like you start with Dark Knight's Metal, and then you essentially read everything that happened after that, and then you read Dark Knight's Death Metal. But anyways, I've talked enough about Dark Knight's Metal and how it's not really like the thing you would read right before reading Death Metal. Like, you read a whole bunch of stuff before you read Death Metal. Let's talk about issue number 2 specifically of Dark Knight's Death Metal. So, issue number 2, they restate what everyone's plans are, and I like it when comic book events remind you of like what the heroes and the villains are trying to do, because the issues don't come out like weekly. Like, it's not like every week you tune in, so you don't really need a reminder. So the reminders are nice. So the Batman Who Laughs, his plan, is that Perpetua is destroying the multiverse, and once the multiverse is destroyed, the Batman Who Laughs wants to create 52 nightmare worlds. So he's going to replace the 52 universes in the multiverse with 52 dark universes, which is actually really lame. I don't like that at all, because the dark multiverse is full of like dark universes that essentially like fade out of existence. And the Batman Who Laughs originally wanted to rise the dark multiverse into the normal like multiverse. So instead of those worlds vanishing, they would just all exist. And it seems like now he's like, but how about just 52? Like, I don't know why his plan isn't just the same plan that he had in Dark Knight's Metal. Why not get all the worlds? Why only 52 worlds? I don't really understand. But it seems like a lame plan, in my opinion. Then Wonder Woman's plan to stop him is they have like Wally West Flash, who is like the Flash plus Dr. Manhattan, but he's essentially run out of all his Dr. Manhattan power. It seems like he doesn't really have any power right now, because they comment on how the Speed Force is running out of energy, and Wally West Flash comments on how he's like run out of Dr. Manhattan power. But essentially Wonder Woman's like, we gotta go to New Apocalypse in order to save their friends, because their friends are being held in New Apocalypse. And then they're gonna travel into the Dark Multiverse to grab Crisis Energy, because Crisis Energy from the Dark Multiverse is what powers Perpetua, who's working with Batman Who Laughs. And Perpetua is using that energy to destroy the multiverse. So they're like, we're going to steal the energy that Perpetua is using to destroy the multiverse in order to give that power to Wally West. And then Wally West, since he has like Dr. Manhattan abilities, once we recharge him, he'll be able to destroy Perpetua, and then we can restart the universe without Perpetua. And they describe what they want as wanting to create like an infinite multiverse. So it's like they're not just restarting the universe, they want to create a new infinite multiverse. And I don't know, all of this sounds lame to me. And you may be like, what about it sounds lame? Well, for one, there was this event called Convergence, where at the end of Convergence, they revealed that there's like an infinite multiverse that exists, and that the multiverse that we see of 52 Earths is just like a smaller part of this infinite multiverse. So if their plan is to create an infinite multiverse, that already exists, so their plan sounds like a redundancy, like it doesn't matter. So their plan sounds redundant, and then his plan just sounds smaller than the plan he had in the original Metal event. So I don't really like either of their plans. Like, both of them are really gross. Like, his is too small. And then their plan is like, well, they're just ignorant. Like, they just don't know that there is an infinite multiverse already. So it doesn't, like, you don't have to make one that just already exists. So theirs is weird because you would think they just have already won if their goal is to just have an infinite multiverse. And his is weird because he could just do more. Like, why not just be like, and now I'm gonna raise the entire dark multiverse into the normal multiverse to, like, replace it, essentially. I think that would make more sense. Now, while I don't agree with the plans that are being discussed, like, I think the bad guy's plan is stupid, and I think the good guy's plan is stupid, I do think that there are a lot of cool things in this book. They have a giant mech that's a combination of Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman, so they have, like, a giant pilotable mech. I'm curious if it has the abilities of all three heroes. If so, that's pretty cool. I like that as a concept. So we got this Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman mech suit. We also have these robot versions of the Dark Knights. So the Dark Knights are dark multiverse versions of Batman who are all like Batman plus another Justice League member if they were evil. So you have like Batman plus Green Lantern, but he's evil. Batman plus Wonder Woman, but he's evil. Batman plus Flash, but he's evil. Batman plus Aquaman, and he's a girl and evil. Batman plus Cyborg, but he's evil. And instead of Batman plus Superman, they have Batman plus Doomsday, and he's evil. So the Dark Knights from Dark Knights Metal are back, but they're all robots, and they're working for the good guys. So Batman has control over all these robots. So I think that's cool. I'm glad to see those characters return as allies. I actually really like whenever they pull out the Robot Justice League characters. They recently did that in Dial H for Hero. The Justice League of Detroit is made up of like a robot version of the Justice League. Now we have a robot version of the Dark Knights. I want to see more stuff like that, where they keep making robot versions of superheroes to help protect the Earth. Because Superman has Superman robots that have the same powers as him, and he like never uses those. So I want to see more like Justice League Detroit stuff in the future, where we get to see Justice League robots kicking ass and taking names. And I want to see more of these robot Darkest Knights in the future. I think that would be cool as well. In general, in the DC universe, if you can just make robots that have superpowers, then why aren't there just a whole bunch of them helping to keep the world safe? You know? So I like it whenever they do stuff like this. I think it's really cool. Also, speaking of robots, there's this robot Batman from the Dark Multiverse who comes from a world of genius machines. So, essentially, all the machines in his world are like masterminds, and he's like a sentient monster truck Batman. I think that's really cool. In Dark Knight's Death Metal issue number 1, they revealed a Batman that is like a robot dinosaur, but it's like the brain of Bruce Wayne got uploaded into a robot dinosaur. And I don't really think that's as cool as just having a sentient machine that's Batman. Not like there was a normal Batman and the normal Batman uploaded himself into a machine, but just a machine that's like super intelligent and is like, I'm choosing to be Batman. So I think this is cool. So this is evil Batman monster truck. Like sentient evil Batman monster truck. That's a cool idea. As you guys are already aware, based on just earlier comments I've made, I like the concept of like robot superheroes. And this is like a robot supervillain that's a Batman monster truck. That's cool. I really like sentient machines in general, so I want more stuff like that. Even the Batman dinosaur is like kind of alright. You know what I mean? Like, give me more robot stuff. I'm glad that in this event that's called Dark Knight's Death Metal, we're getting a lot of literally metal characters, like literal robots and like mech suits and stuff like that. Give me all of that. Yeah. That's the death metal I'm looking for. More robots, more mech suits. So all that's cool. The Batman who laughs is now called the Darkest Knight. He got his brain placed in the body of a alternate version of Bruce Wayne who was Dr. Manhattan. So it's like the body of Batman with the powers of Dr. Manhattan with the brain of the Batman who laughs. And this is what that culminates into. I actually really like the design a lot. It's really cool to see an evil reality manipulating Batman. So that's cool. The Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman composite mech is cool. The evil Batman sentient monster truck is cool. And the Darkest Knight's robots are cool. But the villain plan is stupid, and the hero plan is also stupid. So those are my thoughts. Would I recommend this book? I mean, it requires so much for you to read ahead of time, for you to understand everything that's going on. I don't know. Like, if you're fine with not knowing what's going on, then I recommend reading the book and just going along for the ride, because there are cool moments in the book. You know, like, just to see the cool stuff, I think it's worth reading. And you don't really have to know what's going on to enjoy the cool stuff. Plus, what's going on, I think, is like the least interesting part of the book. You know, if they wanted to make the story really cool, he would want to bring back the entire dark multiverse and not just make 52 nightmare planets, because that's such a lame plan. Why 52? I know that the multiverse had 52 worlds and you're going to destroy all 52, but I don't get why you then would be like, and then replace them with exactly 52 more. It's like, no, just do what you wanted to do before. Raise the dark multiverse. Bring the whole dark multiverse back up. That's all you gotta do. And that would be cool, actually. So he has plans for 52 dark worlds, and they're trying to make an infinite multiverse that already exists. So that's dumb. But enough about that. I've done a lot of praising of Dark Knight's death metal, talking about all the stuff that I think is really cool. I've also done a good bit of like shitting on Dark Knight's death metal, talking about the stuff that I don't really like about it. Let's talk about now Rockin Robbie. So Rockin Robbie is a comic book social media influencer. He has a YouTube channel that has like 7,000 plus subscribers. This is a picture of him right here. And he's in front of this banner that says The Deep Comic Books. So The Deep is a local comic book store that I've been going to since I've been a kid. I've seen Rockin Robbie around. I never knew that he did any like comic book social media stuff. Like, I didn't know that he had his own like web show where he talked about comic books and he gave his opinion on comics and he read like chat messages and stuff like that. I didn't know that there was anyone local like that, for real. I know that my dad watches like Comic Book Girl 19. She's local. I've never really checked out her stuff, but Dad seems to really like her stuff. But other than Comic Book Girl 19, I didn't really know of any local YouTubers who had like a big following who talked about comic books. Let alone one who also worked at like a local comic book store that I've been going to like my whole life. So I just thought that was like a cool fun fact. I was like, wow, I stumbled upon one of his videos today, which is how I learned that he was like a big comic book influencer. I'm just surprised that I never heard about him before. And I've met him. Like, it seems weird to meet someone who like talks about the stuff that you like to talk about, who lives in your area, who regularly makes content about it on the same platform where you also make content about it, and it's just never been brought up. So I think it's cool. And I'm going to try and check out more Rockin Robbie's stuff. I watched a video that he did today where he was talking about all the stuff that happened before Dark Knight's death metal. He does a much better job than I did in this video, where I tried to talk about how there's so much distance between Dark Knight's metal and Dark Knight's death metal to where it's hard to even call Dark Knight's death metal a sequel to metal because they're so far separated from one another chronologically. But yeah, I know Rockin Robbie. Or at the very least, I've met Rockin Robbie. Like, I've talked to him before at the comic book store. I can't say I know him as in like, oh, we're like good friends or something. But he is someone who I've like seen pretty much my whole life working at that comic book shop. You know what I mean? So I think that's really cool. Just a nice fun fact. So next up, CIA Gateway Process hype. So in case you guys aren't aware, there's a CIA declassified document that was released in 2003. It was written in 1983. this document essentially is trying to say that there's scientific evidence for the universe being a hologram, and there's scientific evidence saying that we're all energy beings, and that astral projection exists, and that out-of-body experiences are real, and that we can time travel, and that remote viewing is real, and that magic is real. This declassified document has been out for like 17 years, and it was written back in 1983, but people are talking about it as if it's like brand new. Some people are even trying to say that it's like leaked, like it got leaked out of the CIA or whatever, which is not true. And a lot of people around like the end of last month started just spreading the document everywhere. And now you have tons of people making YouTube videos about it, writing articles about it, making forum posts about it, making tweets about it. All this, I believe, started on Twitter. Somebody on Twitter started it, and it just started to catch like wildfire, just spread, and everybody's talking about it. But I do think that it's like interesting that so many people are getting into it, and that so many people think that the information is new. And I've been talking about how dangerous it is that people aren't really thinking critically about it. They're just saying the document says that it's true, so it must be true. And I think that's a dangerous way to think about anything. But I've been regularly documenting in these videos whenever I see more stuff pop up about it. So I saw a couple more YouTube videos. This one came out a day ago. It's titled CIA Release Doc Holographic Universe and Consciousness Part 1 Reading Only. I didn't watch that video because if they're just going to read the document, I've already read the document. And the document is available in the description box below. If you guys want to check it out, I have a link to it. And then I also saw that this video was released, Exofathom 8 Gateway Experience Part 5. This was actually a stream that was done 5 days ago. And it's a part of a series where they're talking about the document. Now, I didn't watch this video in part because it's like part 5. And this video is like an hour and a half long. So I'm like, oh, I would probably want to watch parts like 1 through 4. And if each part is like that long, I'm not sure if I necessarily want to dive into that right now. So I haven't checked that one out. But I do have links to both of these videos in the description below, in case you guys want to check them out and see what they say about the documents. But like I said, I'm going to try and document all the hype so that when you guys are interested in looking back on this like period of history where people were really hype about this and taking this stuff like fairly seriously, it'll be pretty easy for you to find all these old videos related to this topic. Really, I should be making a playlist, but what I have been doing is just putting all the videos in the description of my daily videos. So if you watch previous episodes, you'll be able to find links in the description to other people's gateway process hype videos. Also, I found a forum post. This forum post is on a football-related forum, which I thought was really interesting. It just kind of seems like someone posted it pretty randomly, I would say, to like a football forum. And it's even like listed under off-topic. Someone's like, I stumbled across this article today making rounds on the World Wide Web. It's an old 1983 CIA article covering hypnosis, transcendental meditation, the consciousness matrix, intervening dimensions, and other wild topics related to consciousness expansion. I've only skimmed it, but I love the gang's thoughts on it. I can't even tell if it's real or not, but I'm intrigued. Like, I think it's interesting that this guy posted it to this football forum. I'm curious if that's stuff that they talk about like normally on the football forum. Like in the off-topic section, if this is the kind of thing that comes up, I wonder what other stuff comes up, like in the off-topic section. But that post that I just read, that was written on the 3rd of July. So it's not super new. A lot of the other stuff that I've been talking about have been YouTube videos that were posted within the last week. That was post like a couple weeks ago. So that one's not as fresh. But it somehow snuck under the radar. I didn't find that forum post until today. But it's interesting to see more and more of the hype and to see how the hype hasn't died down. And I'm curious to see when the hype will die down, because I was surprised yesterday that the hype was still going. But we'll see. So moving on from there, let's talk about another fun night talking to Danica. So Danica and I spent the night like messaging each other on Facebook Messenger again. I had a lot of fun doing that. We talked about a whole bunch of stuff, mainly like comic book stuff. But the end of the conversation was focused heavily on Ghost Rider and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It was focused on why do superheroes not use their most overpowered move at the start of the fight just to end the fight? What makes a good superhero fight? And collabing on a character with Danica, where I essentially am creating a superhero character based on what Danica likes in comics. And I've already created the character concept, but now I'm working on art based on like her preferences when it comes to like superhero like costumes and design. So I'll show you what I have so far. This is like a work in progress. I'm still drawing stuff in like Microsoft Paint, so it's still gonna look like cringy. Plus, I would say that my drawing skills haven't gotten much better since I was younger. Like little kid me could probably also draw this. But Danica says that she likes how it looks so far, so I'm glad that she vibes at the very least. But I've been enjoying talking with Danica. All those things that I was mentioning, like all those different topics, we were talking about them at the same time. So we would send a big post where at the top of your post you would say something about like Ghost Rider and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then next up you would talk about how you feel about superheroes using their most overpowered moves and when they should use them in a fight and why they don't use them all the time, or if they should use them all the time. Then you would comment on your thoughts on what would make like a good superhero fight. And then at the end, you would say something about the character. So we had like these formatted messages where you knew that if you were reading the top of the message, you were reading something about Ghost Rider. And we just went back and forth with these big blurbs. And it was a lot of fun. While messaging with Danica and while drawing the image of this character, who I'm calling Silk, spelt with a P at the beginning, because they're like a psychic-based character who interacts with arachnids and insects. So I'm like Spider Silk, but also like Psi, like psychic energy, PSI. So like Psi and Silk, because you wouldn't pronounce the P. But I think that's like a cool idea. At least I'm enjoying working on the character so far. And I think Danica is enjoying like discussing the character so far. So I've had a great time talking with Danica tonight. While doing all that, I also talked with Madde on the phone. So Madde and I got to talk for a good bit. We actually talked about children's books for a good bit of it, but it was actually rather fun talking about children's books together. Because there are a few children's books that she's like heard the story of that I either have never heard the story of or I just don't remember the story plots. Like even after she's like told me what the stories were about, I'm just like, like some of them I've heard of before. Like she told me the story of like the very hungry caterpillar or whatever. I've heard the title of that, but I never knew what happened in that story. And that story is a very uneventful story. I would barely call it a story. I was very surprised that was like a children's book. And then she told me a story about a giraffe that can't dance, and that was weird. We ended up having like a lot of like kind of funny conversations about like these children's stories. Um, and it was just like an enjoyable time overall. That's like the first time I've talked to Maddie on the phone in like years. So the main thing that I did tonight was talk with Danica and Maddie. And both were just really good talks, to be honest, because Danica and I can go really in depth on like superhero stuff because we both have very similar interests and we're both hype about being able to discuss those interests with one another. Whereas Maddie and I, we over time gained more interest. Like we started to develop more like similar interests over time, but that's never really been like our main thing. Maddie and I have never been super focused on being into the same thing at the same time. Maddie and I can just talk about anything, which is how we end up talking about like children's books or whatever for like a whole phone call. You know, I think both conversations were just good examples of the kinds of conversations that I have with like Danica and Maddie respectively. With Maddie, it's just whatever. You know, we can talk about whatever and it's cool. And with Danica, it's like I can get into stuff that we're both like really passionate about, that we like both like share that passion for. And we can go in depth. And we can not just like talk about the stuff that we're passionate about, but we can work together to try and create something that fits within that passion as well. So I think that's cool. And I think this is the first time that Danica and I have actually like tried to create a superhero together. You know what I mean? So I think that's cool too. This is like a new thing for us, but I like it. Boom, boom, boom. So now that I've talked about my time talking with Danica and Maddie today, let's talk about what my plans are for tomorrow. So I still haven't read Son of Vulcan. For the past few episodes, I've been talking about how I've been wanting to read the Son of Vulcan comic. I worked 30 minutes later than I normally do today, so I'm going to get off work 30 minutes earlier tomorrow. So what I'll probably do is take advantage of my additional time that I have tomorrow in order to finally read Sword of Vulcan. Let's just do it. I think it's only like 6 issues, but I haven't even started it. I don't even know if I'm gonna really like it. I think I'll like it. I hope I like it. But that's gonna be my main game plan for tomorrow. Just read Sword of Vulcan. I don't have any other like big goals. I just want to read Sword of Vulcan. But yeah, those are my plans for tomorrow. This should be like a pretty quick video. I don't feel like I really had too much to say today, because most of my day has just been talking with Maddie and Danica, which has been great, to be honest. Pretty like S-rank day. But anyways, I'd like to thank you all for watching. If you guys like this video, make sure to smash that like button, favorite, comment, subscribe, and ding ding ding, ring the notification bell to be notified whenever we do these videos. If you guys want to talk about any of the subjects that we discussed in this video, or really talk about anything, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below and to message me on our Discord, link in the description box below. This is your host, your friend, your boy, Jet Black, one and only. Logging out. Chicka-da-ga. Peace.